My name is District Governor Karen Hebert. The Hebert gets really tricky, looks like Hebert, so let's just leave it off. District Governor Karen will work every single time. I'm very happy to welcome you on behalf of my fellow district governors in 6220 and 6270, Sridhar and Lisa. This moment is the confluence of three efforts. One, Rotary International President Shekhar asked us to do days of service and to combine as clubs and maybe even cross district lines and outside of Rotary. Two, we have a new area of focus. Hello, are supporting the environment. We want to celebrate that this year. And third, at the end of April, we will have our TriCon 2020. We will be live together at the Osthoff. We're really happy about that. And Sridhar, Lisa, and I truly enjoy collaboration, and we enjoy it like we know you do too. So we decided to collaborate on Rotary Environmental Days of Service, the first full week in October. We hope we light up the news and light up social media with all the different ways that Rotarians are serving to support the environment. And that service can be at different levels: educational, activities, and then a commitment to really making a lasting change, a sustainable change. So without any further ado, I'd like to introduce Roz Schnick. Roz is a Rotarian and a busy community volunteer. Really appreciate Roz. Roz is a member of 6250's Lacrosse Downtown Club and the chair of their Environmental Service Committee. So Roz, will you please introduce our special guest for today?
I am pleased to have that privilege and honor to introduce you to two extraordinary speakers for this Operation Pollination webinar. This webinar will help guide us to develop projects and activities related to improving pollinator butterfly habitat for our Rotary Environmental Days of Service, as Karen said, the first week in October. So the first speaker is Christina. I first found out about Chris in the October 2020 edition of the Rotarian that was all about improving pollinator habitat. Chris inspired Wisconsin Rotarian Marlene Gargulek to embrace this thought. She said, let's ask all the clubs in all the districts from Canada to Mexico to each do a project. We can't wait until butterflies get to Minnesota or Wisconsin to help them. If we're going to do the corridor, we've got to have everybody. We have to do a big project. So she kind of initiated this pollinator pledge and then Operation Pollination as a broad way to open up to everybody interested in increasing pollination habitat. So Christina says Operation Pollination can be a local project or it can be a district project. Can you imagine if each district from Canada to Mexico embraced this idea? What if 1.2 million Rotarians in districts around the world pledged to do work on behalf of pollinators? Wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't that be cool? So when I asked him to give me a bio, he humbly produced this statement. Christina has been a park ranger for more than 4 decades. He helps protect national parks across the USA and beyond. These days, he's finally realized that what's most important to protect has been around him all the time, our precious pollinators. That was how I was supposed to introduce him, but I wanted you to know what an incredible guy he's been. And our second speaker is also incredible, Dr. Christina Hall. I found out about Tina in my efforts to broaden our club's efforts for improving habitat for pollinators and butterflies. I was immediately impressed with her depth of knowledge and how easy it was to work with her. Dr. Tina Hall has worked for more than 30 years for the Nature Conservancy, directing several state programs in land protection and forestry, and now oversees forest certification for the National Conservancy. Nature Conservancy. 2001, Tina became a Rotarian and has held several positions to include being district governor in 2017, 2018 for Wisconsin District 6220. Then she moved to Iowa and became involved in her local club in District 5970. She's currently the district's new club champion, the co-chair of the district's environmental committee, and is the co-leader for the Environmental Sustainability Rotarian Action Group, or ESRAG. Tina's also formed a Facebook page called Ask to Pollinators Rotary Network, and the groups involved are eager to help other clubs plan projects. They welcome all guests and potential members at their meetings. You do not need to be a Rotarian to participate. So I present to you two awesome visionaries related to helping pollinators and butterflies survive and thrive. Take it away, Chris.
Well, thank you very much, Roz. I appreciate that. It's also great to join these three districts today. It's a momentous occasion, really. So kudos to all of you, to Karen and the other district governors and Roz and Jamie and everyone. So Operation Pollination is a supporting the environment project. This is a seventh area of focus. And so, as Roz said, today our speakers are myself and Tina Hall from District 5970 in Northeast Iowa. Tina and I and two other past district governors, Marlene Gargalack and Judy Freund, we are the Operation Pollination recruitment team, for lack of a better title. And so we are very eager to recruit Rotary clubs or Rotary districts to engage in the Operation Pollination framework. And I say a framework because it is just that. It's not a prescription of what to do. It's a framework. I began my Rotary service when I was at the Great Smoky Mountains in Tennessee and North Carolina back in the late 1990s. Then I transferred to Yosemite National Park in California and ultimately became president of the Yosemite Valley Rotary Club. Today, I am a member of the group that Tina formed, the Paths to Pollinators Rotary Network out of District 5970. And I'm also a member of the North American Central Chapter of ESRAG. Now, you all know that Rotary has all these Rotary action groups. These are like-minded people, communities of practice. And if you just look at the list there, you can see there's a ton of things you could be interested in. These action groups, they're comprised of Rotarians and other people from around the world. But Tina and I, we are part of the Environmental Sustainability Rotary Action Group. You also know the 7 areas of focus. Up until last year, there were 6. Now there is a 7, supporting the environment. And this is what Operation Pollination is about, supporting the environment. If you want a very easy, simple 7th area of focus project to engage in, Tina and I would both recommend that, and Judy and Marlene, that Operation Pollination may be just for you. As I mentioned, it's a framework. It's to help you recruit a diverse group of partners who want to engage in habitat restoration and education. Those are the 2 goals of Operation Pollination: restore pollinator habitat and educate people about the importance of pollinators. As we go through this program, both programs, I want you to think about this. The real voyage of discovery consists not in seeking new landscapes, but in having new eyes. Pollinators are responsible for the reproductive success of more than 85% of the world's plants. Yet since the 1970s, a mere 50 years, pollinators have declined by more than 45% around the globe. This is a global environmental issue. In 50 years, declined by more than 40%. we should be asking ourselves, what are we leaving for our kids and their kids? Pollinators are essential for food. If you need a anthropocentric reason to save pollinators, we rely upon them for our food. What would the world look like without pollinators? This is the only quiz I'm going to give you during this presentation, maybe. Any guesses at this, aside from those who've already seen this presentation? Any guesses what this might be? And I will tell you, it is in North America. Hearing none, this is an Oyamel fir forest on a mountaintop in Mexico. And that orange on that fir, on those trees, is this, monarch butterflies. Millions and millions of monarch butterflies. Many of you know the monarch goes on this epic migration every year. It winds up here in the northern part of the United States, but in the winter, a single insect flies anywhere from 1,500 to 3,000 miles back to the mountaintop in Mexico. This is what they look like on those trees. And while this slide, I share the monarch with you because it is such an iconic pollinator species that we all remember from our childhood, right? Well, this photo is a little bit deceiving because it would make you think that they're okay, they're doing okay, look at that. There's millions and millions of them. Well, there are, but their population has declined by more than 90% since the 1990s. 90% since the 1990s. The monarchs are in trouble. But the monarchs are not the only pollinator species. There are many pollinator species. Bees, wasps, flies, beetles, butterflies, moths, even hummingbirds. Some bats are pollinators. Even some small mammals and reptiles are pollinators. You know what else is a pollinator though? This. This is a photo I saw from the Wall Street Journal a couple weeks ago. Does that look a little bit odd? Anybody want to guess at what that is? That's a robot.
Yeah, I was gonna.
That's a robotic bee. And that's what the Australians are using to pollinate their tomato crops right now, because the bees are in serious trouble there. By the way, if you have $10,000, you can buy one of these. Current research and development, that's what these are going for, $10,000 a piece. But we don't want this type of pollinator. And because of insect decline, Operation Pollination was conceived and is being implemented in places across the USA. And of late, it's actually spreading across the ponds as well. So Rotary districts and clubs have been real leaders in this effort, and we'll get into that in a minute. So a little history, and before I tell you the nuts and bolts of Operation Pollination. Operation Pollination began in the St. Croix Valley of Minnesota and Wisconsin in 2015, when 3 federal land management agencies got together and decided to work on a pollinator project and invited partners to participate as well. In just August of 2020, just not even a year ago, SRAG, North American Central Chapter Pollinator Committee, adopted the Operation Pollination project as its own, right in the middle of the pandemic. And SRAG immediately developed a website. There is a website for this, operationpollination.net. And SRAG was also very successful in getting an article in Rotary magazine, that article that Roz referred to. It's called The Butterfly Effect. And if you don't have your magazine knocking around the house, just Google Rotary magazine, October 2020, The Butterfly Effect, and you can see the article as well. So let me talk about the nuts and bolts of Operation Pollination. 3 easy steps. Number 1 is a pollinator resolution. Pollinator resolution. Number 2 is a pollinator pledge. And number 3, you put your pledge partner names on the back of your resolution. So this is an example of a signed resolution by District 6440. And I don't know if you have this version, Karen, or not, but this is a nice version that's out there. And you can adapt it any way you want. There's nothing sacred about this. By the way, the nice thing about Operation Pollination, there's no government oversight. There's no oversight. The oversight that you provide is the oversight that you provide, not somebody telling you to provide it. Then after you sign a resolution, your clubs and your club partners sign a pollinator pledge form. And this is a sample. And there are examples on operationpollination.net. By the way, these organizations that sign can be large or small, government or non-government, for-profit and not-for-profit. And every contribution is valuable. It just depends on a partner's capability and capacity. If you were to say, we're going to plant 3 milkweed seeds, we'd say great. If you came and said, we're going to restore a prairie, we'd say even better, but all those contributions would be treated equally. Again, this is an inclusive project that recruits a diverse array of partners, and every contribution is welcome. And then you
Chris?
Yes.
This is Karen. I just wanted to let you know that we will create the pledge forms on behalf of 6250 and then share it with 6220 and 6270. So we have a nice, organized, coordinated, path through. And in the chat, I thanked Roz for her early adoption of this and bringing it to our attention. I feel proud that we're engaging you so quickly and to be a part of this.
Yeah, as I told you in an email, you'll be number 7. So
We got to get ahead of 6220 and 6270 though.
Exactly. So here's the resolution, a sample pledge form. You put the names of your partners on the back of your resolution. These are the partners that are from the back of the resolution from the St. Croix Valley, 5960 from 2015. So you can see the diverse array of partners. Just look at the last 3 on there. Youth Care Camp Sunrise, that's a not-for-profit environmental education camp for underprivileged kids. Yoga by Julie. She used to be when I was into yoga, she used to be my yoga instructor. She handed out little milkweed seed packets to her yoginis. And let me tell you, she's not a big company like the one right above her, Excel Energy. So, and if you go through that list, it's really the diverse array, the inclusivity of this project should come out. And by the way, in the middle column there, 3/4 of the way down, you can see Rotary District 5960. They were a pledge partner at that time. They've signed their own resolution. So they now currently have their own signed resolution. So again, wrapping this up, resolution, pledge, names on back of resolution, and get media attention, and the media will give you attention. This is an SRAG project. District 6450 in Chicago was the first district to sign their own resolution. That was back in February. They're now recruiting their 62 clubs, over 2,000 Rotarians to engage. 6450, by the way, is where Chicago 1 is located. That was Paul Harris's district. And 5960 in the St. Croix Valley, that's past District Governor Ed Merrick. That's him signing the resolution. Just know that all the districts on this call are welcome to sign a resolution as well and be part of the early history of Operation Pollination. So projects, this is a community that planted milkweed out on eastern Long Island, New York, where I'm from. There's a well-established Monarch Sister Schools program. And if you contact Mary Ann from the Monarch Sister Schools program, she's already told me that she wants to partner with a Wisconsin club, by the way. And the Monarch Sister Schools, by the way, they establish a pollinator garden at your school. And then there's a cultural component. They connect you with a school in Mexico too. COVID-19 has kind of hurt that effort, but when they get back into full swing, that's their MO. And then Roz has told me, good old Roz there, working with the Mississippi River Parkway Commission. She wants her vision is to have these pollinator projects up and down the Mississippi, with Wisconsin starting out as the first. And Roz, during the Q&A, maybe you can even address that. but the Mississippi River Parkway Commission efforts and pollinator efforts, it's a perfect match for Operation Pollination. Now, as much as I've talked about organizations, never forget the power of the one. Each of us as Rotarians or other has the power to make a difference in our own yard. And I just want to thank you so much for giving me the time and attention that you've given me this afternoon. As I said, we were really looking forward to this presentation. When we go into food stores, this is what we want to see. Pollinators equals food security equals national security. And I'll wrap up with this beautiful quote by T.S. Eliot. The end of all our exploring will be to arrive where we started and know the place for the first time. So thank you once again. There's my email, my phone number, the address, the web address for Operation Pollination. I believe I shared this program with Roz. And Roz, if you can send it out to the other district governors or participants on this call, any one of you, feel free to contact Tina or myself. We're passionate about pollinators. We want to protect the planet, and Rotarians are so well positioned to help do that, especially with the new area of focus.